Hey, it's Jen Vax with YourColorStyle.com, and this is part 3 of the 3-part series on contrast. And we're talking about contrast and what it means in color analysis, wearing your most flattering colors and patterns, and how it impacts you when you're making decisions on pulling your outfits together. So in part 1, we talked about value, the difference between light and dark, to create that value contrast, and how that you can look for that in patterns that you choose to wear, as well as the contrast that a color can create with you personally on your own skin tone, and to be in harmony with that. So if you're wearing if you're a low contrast, you would find a low contrast pattern and make sure that pattern is in low contrast with yourself. Yesterday, we talked about contrast in terms of chroma. When you put something bright next to something that's more muted, you create contrast and you create moments of interest in your outfit. Today, we're going to talk about contrast when it comes to color combinations. So when we're looking at the color wheel, the color that's opposite on the color wheel is its complement. When you put those two colors together, side by side, you create a complementary color scheme, which is very dynamic and high energy, and a higher contrast. Now, all these start to play together. You can think of this as value plus the location on the color wheel and all kinds of stuff. But consider a color combination as also a factor of contrast. It is that level of dynamic energy that you are creating when you're putting two colors together in an outfit. So it's not just about light and dark. It's not just about muted and bright. It's also about which two colors exactly are you putting together and what kind of dynamic are you creating. So for example, on the color wheel, if I have this peach pink and across the color wheel is teal, these two colors together are really fun. They're high energy, and so therefore fairly dynamic, high contrast. Someone like me who is very low contrast, I might feel a little off on an outfit like this, even though one's not much darker than the other, so you could say that's low contrast. But because these two colors together are creating such high energy, it's a choice to wear something like this. I think it's awesome. In fact, when my hair was brighter pink, I was wearing some teals and some olive greens, which are also they're all kind of there on the opposite side to create that fun dynamic look. Because my hair was bright pink, I wanted that look. So again, it's a choice, right? And if you didn't pick up on it, it's not just about the colors and the clothes. It's also about up against you. So if you have a color in your hair, you're blonde or you're bright red, if you have black hair, it doesn't really matter. That is a color, and you can play with it as a color when you're thinking about the colors you want to wear. What kind of energy are you creating with that? Here's another good example of red and periwinkle. Again, love this color combo. I have a periwinkle sweater, and I love wearing red flats with it. So I'll wear this with other leggings and jeans, so it's fairly low contrast, but then I'll pop in red. So it doesn't have to be 50-50. In fact, I recommend you don't do 50-50. A better ratio would be like 60-40, and you just pop in that other complementary color. But here's one more example of high contrast. You have lemon yellow and a deep navy. It's high contrast because this is light and this is dark. It's also contrast because it's opposite each other on the color wheel, and you could argue that navy is slightly muted and this is super bright. So it is a very high energy color. It's going to look beautiful on someone that has natural high contrast about them. It'll look really, really great. So these colors are in my color fan, but I don't know if I personally would wear this combo. I could. It's there for you to play with. There's no rules that says you can't, by the way. I'm just giving you some information so you can start to think about what kind of statement you want to make. What can you do just with color alone that's going to create something really, really fun? Just like this example here, I have a periwinkle sweater, and I could have just worn it with jeans and some white sneakers and been perfectly fine. But to pop in a little bit of red makes it fun, makes it interesting, okay? Here's just an example of low contrast. Colors that are fairly next to each other on the color wheel are going to be low contrast. You could say that's not very interesting, or you could say, oh, I love that. That's very interesting. I think that both are true. Creating a monochromatic look or an analogous look where the colors are just next to each other on the color wheel may not necessarily have a lot of contrast, visual contrast, but it could also just be just as interesting and just as elegant and pulled together. When you're being thoughtful about it, you can definitely pull these off, okay? So when you're looking at the color wheel and you're looking at an item that you're going to wear, what other color on that color wheel can you place with it to create some energy? Or what colors might you avoid because you don't want to create that energy? So those are all food for thought. Those are 3 different ways of thinking about contrast. You've got your values, you've got your chroma, and you have your color combinations. So I hope that this inspired you in some way to pull out your color fan and your color wheel and start to play around with different color combinations. Inside of VIP, we are sharing our color learning in the Facebook group. This is all based on the new course, Color Mastery, where we've got a lot of visuals and a lot of photos and stuff inside the course itself. If you're interested in checking that out and joining us, please, there'll be a link near this video somewhere, and you can pop in and join us. So other than that, I hope you've enjoyed this series. I'm Jen Vax, and thank you very much for watching.